This episode starts with Ji Hyuk trying to call Ji Won. We see Ji Won is slowly losing consciousness and Ji Hyuk arrives and knocks Min Hwan to the side. After checking that Ji Won is okay, he begins to attack Min Hwan. We see Mrs. Yang and Mr. Lee in the car and he makes her repeat back what he told her in regards to dealing with her husband. He receives a call from Ji Hyuk who tells him that he's in a police station and that he wants Mr. Lee to check on Ji Won at the hospital. Mr. Lee and Miss Yang go to the hospital and he is told that it was assault. Ji Won and Min Hyuk are in jail and Min Hwan tells Ji Hyuk that he is going to ruin Ji Hyuk's life. He tries saying that Ji Won is too inferior to ruin his life over. Mr. Lee shortly arrives and Ji Hyuk is let out of the cell. Min Hwan asks what about him and tries to say that Ji Hyuk was only let out because he is rich and tries mentioning that he works at UNK as well, like anybody cares. Ji Hyuk tells Mr. Lee that Min Hwan is fired as of today and they discuss how they will make him pay. It is mentioned that Min Hwan has a loan with UNK and that they will request repayment. Mr. Lee has also been tasked with dealing with Min Hwan's private loans as well. Mr. Lee tells Ji Hyuk that he left Miss Yang with Ji Won. When he arrives at Ji Won's house, he sees Mrs. Yang, who says that she's headed out to grab a few bits as Ji Won had nothing in her house. He goes in and then he sees an upset Ji Won who he comforts. Soo Min meets with Yura and plays her recording that she has of Yura. She tells her that she can't get a hold of her dad and thinks to herself how Yura could help since she now has insurance. Yura seems displeased with the behavior of everybody and asks her secretary why shrimps in Korea don't know their place. Yura's secretary gets Min Hwan out of jail and he is told that they might not be able to cover it. While in a taxi, he receives a call from Yura who tells him that Soo Min met with her to threaten her. Min Hwan gets a call from work and tells Yura that he will call her back. It's Mr. Lee on the phone who tells Min Hwan that he has been fired and that as he wasn't at work, that the dismissal was sent to his home. He then gets a call from his mum, who asks if he has been fired as someone from UNK is at their home and has told her that. He also gets a call regarding his UNK loan, who tells him that they are now expecting repayment today. Min Hwan finally gets home, and when he is outside, he ignores a call from Snake Loans, who were waiting outside. He then threatened him with physical rights waiver. When he finally makes it inside, he checks through Soo Min's bank book to see how much money she has. He somehow manages to log into her online banking and finds out that she has 80 million won. He looks through her stuff and finds some cash hidden amongst her clothes. While this is happening, Soo Min is getting ready in a hotel. Mrs. Yang is in hospital and her husband causes a commotion in her hotel room regarding being sued for adultery. He tries to threaten her and is stopped by Mr. Lee and told to never come back.
오랜만이죠? 갑자기 연락 주셔서 너무 놀랐어요. 오랜만에 뵈니까 정말 좋네요.
Ji Hyuk meets with Soo Min in a hotel bar where she tries to put on the poor me pity party. It's a good thing that Ji Hyuk is smart and knows what she is like, so he doesn't fall for it. Ji Hyuk asks Soo Min if she tried to kill Ji Won and tells her that he would have done the same. He tells Soo Min that they should work together and that he will tell her when and where to go. Soo Min asks Ji Hyuk why he's trying to help her and he mentions about her life being ruined because of Min Hwan and that he likes Ji Won. Soo Min asks Ji Hyuk why he doesn't like her and he tells her that it's because people who know people around them annoys him. He meets up with Ji Won and tells her about his meeting with Soo Min. He tells her that he mixed in some truth with a little bit of the lies so that Soo Min is more likely to believe him. Min Hwan sees the bag that he brought Ji Won and thinks to himself that he can deal with the urgent debt that he has if he sells the bag. Ji Won and Ji Hyuk agree that Soo Min and Min Hwan won't stop until they go all the way. Yura is told that Ji Hyuk is moving more actively than before and is told by his secretary that it might be best if they leave Korea. Ji Hyuk goes to see his grandfather and mentions that his grandfather had previously mentioned to him to present the woman he likes. His grandfather also mentions that Ji Hyuk had told him that it was basically unrequited love. Ji Hyuk tells his grandfather that things have changed and he will introduce her now. He does all of this in front of Yura, who was currently visiting. Ji Won arrives and Yura leaves shortly after, a little bit annoyed. Ji Won and Ji Hyuk's grandfather discusses the last discussion that they had with each other, and he also mentions the assets that Ji Hyuk had gifted Ji Won after seeing each other for a short while. Ji Won mentions to the grandfather that her first impressions of Ji Hyuk and how her opinion of him has changed, and that she thinks that they can work well together. Ji Hyuk meets Mr. Lee, who tells him about Min Hwan's termination will be completed tomorrow. We see Ji Won at work, who is discussing a meal kit with Eunho and her team. When the meeting ends, Eunho asks about Hyun, but is told by Ji Won that she also has not seen her lately. Ji Won receives a call from Soo Min, which she then ignores.
내 전화 왜 안 받아? 내 전화 왜 안 받냐니까? 내가 왜 네 전화를 받아야 되는데?
Soo Min is waiting for Ji Won and tries to confront her about trying to seduce a married man. The audacity of this chick. Ji Won calls security and lets them know that there is an outsider in the office. She then puts Soo Min in her place and lets her know that she has no right to say that to her when she had an affair with a man who was in a 7-year relationship. She tells Soo Min that she does not need to sleep with someone else's man, and that Soo Min is dumb for thinking that Min Hwan will not cheat on her as well. She also tells Soo Min that Min Hwan was fired and that only Soo Min would covet trash like Min Hwan. We then see Soo Min escorted out by security.
민한 씨, 방금 정수민이 와서 회사에서 난리쳐서 너무 놀랐어. 뭐 회사엔 소문 안 날 거야. 다들 정수민 미쳤냐는 말뿐이니까. 이런 잘못 보냈네. 미안.
After receiving text from Ji Won, which was supposed to have been made out to Min Hwan, Soo Min gets mad and calls Ji Hyuk, and she tells him that she is going to ruin Ji Won. Min Hyuk is in his room when he talks to himself about being fired and that he does not have enough money to pay back the loan. He goes to visit Yura. Yura tells him that they could make a deal and asks Min Hwan how he will take care of his wife. That's when we see the insurance Min Hwan was taken out regarding insurance for 500 million won after a spouse's death after an injury. Yura tells Min Hwan about having to clean up his mess again and that he should at least have guts if he has nothing else. Ji Hyuk finds out that Min Hwan is at Yura's hotel suite and tells Ji Won. He then messages Soo Min and tells her that Min Hwan and Ji Won are at the hotel meeting together. Ji Won goes to the hotel and makes sure that she is followed by Soo Min. Soo Min waits at the lift and waits to see what floor that it stops at. Soo Min then gets in the lift and we see Ji Won and Ji Hyuk hiding around the corner watching her. Soo Min goes to the hotel room and barges in after the door is opened.
근데 자기는 진짜 똑똑한 것 같아.
근데 천재적이긴 하다. 아니 어떻게 와이프 사망보험금으로 재기를 누려?
어떻게 안보험 줄 생각을 다 했어?
이번에 보험금 받으면 진짜 크게 한턱 쏠게. 걱정하지 마. 내가 또 은혜 하나는 기가 막히게 갚는 놈이거든.
As Soo Min gets closer to the bedroom, we see the parallels of when Ji Won found Soo Min and Min Hwan in bed together, with Soo Min finding Min Hwan and Yura in bed together. Soo Min tries to take pictures of them in bed before telling Min Hwan that he is trash. She tries asking about what happened to her dad before trying to leave. She is then stopped by Yura's security. We see a knocked out and tied up Soo Min surrounded by Min Hwan, Yura and Yura's secretary, and Yura tells Min Hwan that they will proceed with his plan. We see Yura and her secretary discussing setting it up as murder for the insurance claim and that they will let the story be known to the media before we see a car that Min Hwan is driving pulling up to a standalone building. Soo Min is still tied up and she wakes up to see Min Hwan standing over her. He tells Soo Min that she thinks she is great and doesn't know her place. He mentions to Soo Min that he had sold a bag that she had, which was originally bought for Ji Won, and he also tells her that he has already taken the money that she had in her bank account when she tried to offer him money. Min Hwan goes and then cuts the gas pipe. He goes back into the room where he's holding Soo Min and finds out that she managed to get herself free where she was tied up. Soo Min tries to attack Min Hwan with a knife, and Min Hwan holds out a car key to Soo Min, and when she reaches for it, he hits her with a chair and throws her around. He tells Soo Min about his plan for Soo Min to die from carbon monoxide poisoning while he is out getting groceries.
될 것 같은데?
우리 앞에 남자고지 못하면 안 되는데.
After kicking Min Hwan, Soo Min tells him that he is sterile and that she didn't actually have a miscarriage as she was never pregnant. They both try to run for the knife, with Min Hwan grabbing Soo Min from behind by her hair. After their little scuffle, Soo Min gets free and pushes Min Hwan, who falls back on the glass coffee table. We see the parallels of his fall with the fall with Ji Won in the original timeline. Mr. Lee is in his office on the phone to Ji Hyuk, and he tells him that the video of the SD card has somehow been restored. He takes that to mean that Mrs. Yang was destined to get divorced. Ji Won receives a text regarding Min Hwan's funeral, which she discusses with Ji Hyuk. She tells him that she does intend to go to the funeral.
네가 우리 미나리를 배신만 안 했어. 수민이 너하고 결혼할 일 없었던 애야. 저도 우리 아들을 죽였어. 나쁜 자, 배우면 안 되는 거지.
At the funeral, Ji Won is confronted by Min Hwan's mom. I don't know why this lady is blaming Ji Won when her son is the one that had the affair and then went ahead to marry Soo Min, who he was having the affair with. Min Hwan's death is mentioned on TV, along with the fact that his wife is the prime suspect for his murder and that she is currently on the run. The employees at work discuss it and believe that the newscaster is talking about Min Hwan. Mr. Lee tells Ji Hyuk that Min Hwan's parents reported a theft in their home and they believe that it is Soo Min and that she is still in Seoul. Ji Hyuk and Ji Won are watching the news about the case, and we see a disguised Soo Min outside their apartment building saying that Ji Won can't be the only one who's happy. This is where the episode ends, and guys, please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe.